my guest at this time will not forget. I'm talking about the former Intercontinental Champion of the world, Macho Man Randy.
Nothing means nothing.
Nothing
means nothing.
Nothing means nothing. What do you mean by that?
Super Flag Bros.
Super.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in. But the cream rise to the top, oh yeah.
Division 6 Podcast. Division 6 Podcast.
And let me point to the president of the World Wrestling Federation, the Macho Man Randy Savage is not happy with your decision, yeah.
D's Delaries and P's Delaries.
I am the cream of the World Wrestling Federation, and there is no doubt about it, yeah, you mean Gene Okerlund.
Welcome everyone, and you are watching and perhaps listening to the Super Flag Bros, the official Division E podcast. I am joined in studio with my co-host, D's Delaries. You can follow him, of course, at Dave's Republic or...
Hot dogs are the supreme food for giants.
And hot dogs are the supreme food for giants. Producing us momentarily is Matt Kerouac, but looming overhead angrily is the true producer of the show, Mo Khan.
I just want people to have a better view for a second. Well, Mo
I just think that the better looking we are as a crew, the more listeners we get. And
yeah,
the more
Mo was
viewers
in the
we
middle
get.
of wiping in the bathroom there.
And who is Matt Kerouac to our Division E peoples?
To our Division 6, it's not Division 6, Division E rather.
You're welcome.
Know that Matt Kerouac is Russia Supreme. He's played for many teams, including his current team, Roosters and Donkeys. Known, of course, for D-Boys, having rushed for Montreal's finest. He is a Hall of Famer and FPF champion as well.
Yeah, you hear that, Mo?
Sorry, I didn't pay attention.
I actually play football.
Dude's got mad skill.
Dude's got mad skill.
Sometimes.
So just moving on really quickly, we are of course in the Sporteria cage, where remember, if it's in the game, it's in the cage.
Are we still going with that?
If you leave stuff,
It's fantastic, and I'll see you guys later.
I haven't been here a week, and you're already going with all the taglines you can find.
100%. Remember, if you leave stuff in the cage, you may find it in the cage. This week, Deez,
Yes.
was the week of Saint Jean. I spent my day sitting in a waterfall. No joke.
Amazing.
Just beer after beer in a waterfall.
Extremely jealous.
How was your day?
It was terrible. I had to work all day.
How was your Saint Jean? You had to work all day.
It was terrible. I worked all day.
Luckily, it gave you plenty of opportunity to go through FPF games, one of which, of course, is hashtag Baton, as they took on Been There, Done That. They tied it 24-24. Does this result surprise you, given how good Been There, Done That have been in recent weeks and how bad hashtag Baton has been for most of the season?
We were kind of talking about how like Baton was gonna have hashtag Baton was gonna have like a blowout, like not like a change of pace kind of game where they were gonna have a game where they're gonna come out and overperform. I think that was that kind of game, but you know, every time we get a tie, I always think to myself, like, I feel like it's just a cheap way out. Like I feel like as a league we could do better in terms of ties. Like ties are terrible in our league.
It's
and we've all had ties.
I've had two in my career.
You've had two.
I've been through a few, pardon me, but last winter's in the winter 2015, Division 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
every third game was a tie, more or less.
But we got to do we have to find, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but a great word. But I feel like if we can come up with I don't know, like just flip a coin or something. I don't know. It's
Flip
the
a
worst.
coin.
But it's better than a tie at that
Or
point.
an XFL style chasing for the football.
It's
XFL style.
That's DZ's prescription. Eagle, what are your thoughts?
I had 3 ties in a single season once, and it cost me a playoff spot by 1 point. So
I'm glad you had a possible solution to this, so thank you for contributing.
Thanks, we appreciate it.
But we really appreciate details about your life story. That being said, honestly, there's not a lot we can do. Games, of course, are restricted by time, and there's a certain amount of field space allotted for FPF. So, for that reason, that's why we haven't anything about ties thus far. Although, if anyone has any great ideas, feel free to tweet us. I can be tweeted at PsFPF. You can tweet the show live by tweeting either the producer at Mocon19 or at EagleFPF. You can tweet us live, and if you have any great solutions for how to resolve ties, we gladly read it on air.
But this is also a case of missed opportunities and extra points. If there's one thing that we've all realized in this league is that the extra point is so essential in the sense that like you can't afford to not score on those opportunities, and it's the kind of play that it's always really hard to it's always hard to get an advantage in that situation because you're basically it's a condensed play in a short area. I'm not sure what you can do. I'm not a quarterback or I'm not an offensive player, but I feel like this is the kind of game that kind of exemplifies, and it should be kind of an example for other teams, like why extra points are so important. Like you can't miss them because you don't want to go 24. You don't want to tie a game because in the end it screws up your playoff schedule. It could.
Yeah. Very well. It can.
By the way, for Baton, this was the highest output for them all season long with 24
I don't
points.
think they're that far off. Like I don't think they're like one of the worst teams, but they definitely. I think this is something for them to build on.
For sure.
We have a tweet in from Brett Callender at that Pretty Boy BC.
Is he the only one listening, by the way?
He goes, #Baton had Alpha T wide receivers throw for them, and this was their best performance. They should go with him for the rest of the season.
And that brings me to my next point. We saw Jason Dupuis taking over at quarterback for #Baton. He threw 13 for 23, 174 yards, and 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Is he the solution at quarterback, do you think, Deez?
Yes. At this point, take whatever you get. Like if you have a guy that comes in and throws 4 touchdowns, screw it. If the guy gets 3 touchdowns, just put him in 2 touchdowns. You need someone that creates offense, something that they didn't have in previous games. Not to mention, but this isn't a case of this isn't really about that specifically. This is really a story of they scored the touchdowns. The next step is figuring out the extra point situation, how to get extra points, because this is a winnable game. Like to me, like you're scoring 18 points in the first half. They cool down in the second half, but it seems to me like also Baton has had a pretty good defense throughout the season so far. It's just that it's the extra points, it's the offense, and like you can't just win a game based on touchdowns. You have to get those extra points.
And you know what? I actually thought about this, this will never happen because pro football has players' unions that would never allow this. But I think that the NFL, for example, would be a far more interesting league if you had to run a play for your conversion. I think that's. We can't say that we do anything better than a pro football league per se. The one thing I will say that other leagues can learn from us is our conversions.
Wait, what is he trying to say? I didn't get that.
Well, this season there was a lot of debate in the offseason for the NFL to change their extra point concept, right? They think they moved it back to the 15-yard line instead of the 5.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that our system for conversions is far more interesting than we have in pro football, where you just kick it.
You get a choice.
And even from the 15-yard line, like we'll see a few more misses, but it's not really a change of pace.
And let's not forget, back in the day, FPF used to have a 3-point conversion attempt.
But let me put you into this position. Both of you guys have been quarterbacks. Like you're put in a spot when you score a touchdown. Like, do you prefer going for 2 points? Because I feel like having that extra space, having no extra yards, like you get a chance.
Being the least mobile guy in the world, I don't.
But don't your receivers have more chance to get separation?
It depends because it's just your play calling concepts are different. So when you go for a 1-point conversion, you're attacking different depths. Whereas you go for 2, you're trying to take advantage of a window that the defense will form with your play calling. So like a play where you have a post attacking the front of the end zone and a post attacking the bottom of the end zone, you basically have a quick read and you're hoping the defense will react to one or the other. That's all.
By the way, Jason Dupuis, they've gone through 5 quarterbacks. #Baton. He has the best stats amongst the 5. 4 TDs, as he made the point before. The entire quarterback roster has thrown for 7 TDs this season.
So I feel like I want to develop a Mo app on my phone. Anytime I have a question for stats, I just ask a question like Siri. I'm like, Mo, what's the score? And he'll tell me.
So the thing is, Mo has replaced Jeeves.
Yeah.
It becomes Ask Mo.
Ask Mo.
AskJeeves.com.
AskMo.com.
Last thing on the tie extra point concept, what you really need to ask yourself if you're a new team, is the chance of me getting 2 points half of that of getting 1 point? Because really, statistically, if you think it's a little bit higher, then you should always go for 2. The earned value will always be higher then.
If you convert 40% of your 2-point conversions and 60% of your 1-point conversions, you should always go for 2. But I mean, I find it's very specific teams that can go for 2. There are teams that do it.
But I find it's not that big of a difference. And I mean that's saying I don't have as much experience as you guys do, but I don't find it's that many yards difference. And I feel like I don't know. I just feel like where receivers have more separate, have a better chance to get separation. That's if your receivers get separation.
Yeah, if they do. A guy who was separating himself, but did struggle this week was been there, done that quarterback Sebastian Tardif, but they did get a touchdown from Kevin Marion and still managed to score 4 times despite the struggles. And they scored all 4 times in the first half. So is this the ability for a team to get it done? Like, is this a recipe that can win the playoffs, or do you need to have a consistent output? Like, does it impress you more that they get it done even when the quarterback struggles, or do you think that Tardif will need to step up his game once we get into the playoffs?
I don't really know how to answer that question, to tell you the truth. And I'm not.
Cool.
But I'm saying that specifically because it's hard to tell because they haven't had that many games that have gone the wrong way, and you never want to overreact over one game, right?
But that's what we do here. We overreact.
That's what our job is.
Super Bowl.
We're a reactionary league.
Yeah, and I get that, but I'm saying that in their perspective, right? Like in the perspective of a team in general, like look, they tied, they didn't lose this game, so maybe just go back with the same game plan and see how it goes next week. But if it's the same outcome next week, then that's when we need to start questioning, and we'll probably revisit their matchup next week as well.
Their next two games, Smash Bros, Flight of the Conchords, two very tough teams.
Very, very tough, and I don't expect them to win against Smash Bros. That's not an easy win at all.
Speaking of Smash Bros, they did win this past week as they won 40-32 over Mild Public House. Mild Public House has scored 30 points for the first time this season. Is this the turning point for them, or was the Smash Bros defense just porous in this one?
This is okay, and it's tough to
This is
say.
the first time that Mild Public has scored 30 points, right? So is it their offense stepping it up finally? Is it them figuring it out?
But
Or just
then again, well, like there's times in this league where you have a high-powered offense, you're always scoring, your defense is just always on the field. Like you're gonna allow some points, especially when you have a guy that like they have a receiver that 25 yards on one catch. They have another guy that has 3 touchdowns, like Paul Santash, 3 touchdowns. Like for me, it's tough. It's tough to look at those 32 points and give them too much credit for that. For me, it's more like, the offense is just recharging, and the ball, it turns over a lot onto the other side of the field, and MPH they have a lot of chances to go on offense. But if this is like if this was the kind of game where Smash Bros only scored 30 points, I couldn't see in any way a chance where Mild Public House would score a lot of points. Like I just feel like this is just a product
more
of the
pacing
time that
of the
they
game.
have. Like it's a pacing, yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
Because we've like once again we've all been there where like your offense is rolling and they've scored a bunch of points in the first and second half, and like you're gonna get a lot of chances on the defensive end.
Just food for thought. Every win that the Smash Bros have had, the following game they've had difficulty.
Right.
This game, they only won by 8. A few weeks ago, they won 45-25 over Royalty. The following week, they lost by 2 to Los Guapos.
Yeah.
So they've had difficulty continuing or carrying that momentum in which they can convincingly win games,
Right.
as they should be, which they're not.
For Mild Public House,
Right.
their defense has had its problems. Mm-hmm. Are there any winnable games ahead for them on the schedule? And I'll ask Mo to bring it up. Mo, call out the remaining 4 games for Mild Public House this season.
I can say 0-4 right now. No. All right, here we go. Next game they have is Fight of the Conchords.
These, what do you think?
not happening.
No.
Not happening.
No. Los Guapos.
Especially after this week where Los Guapos won against
Blood Machines.
Blood Machines. Like I was about to say Bloodstains against Blood Machines. I don't see that kind of team coming off of that kind of momentum and losing.
Yeah, and we'll
to
take a look
16.
at that game as well.
Right, we
But I
will, yeah.
agree with you. I don't think they'll win that one.
It's Los Guapos, of course, game number 2. Number 3, Royalty, which has played okay, but
Yeah.
they've also been outclassed a few times this season.
That to me is a flip flop kind of game. It's a 50-50
I think that's the
chance on
one.
both
That's the
ends.
one that
Yeah,
can
that's-
go in
that's
the
the
favor of
one
Mild
game that they
Public
have
House.
to win.
And final game of the season?
And if they don't win that game, #Baton to close out the season.
I don't, because the Baton has a really good defense. So
Really good defense, and if they have Dupuis thrown in
it's
the rest
such
of
a
the season,
shame. It's such a shame that their defense is playing really well, and now they find out like too late in the season they find a guy.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily too late. They still have a shot in it. And another team that you mentioned just now, in a game you just mentioned actually, Los Guapos beat Blood Machines, not Bloodstains, 33-30. Terrence Dobson's returned for Los Guapos. They are 3-0 when he's the quarterback. Explain his value to the squad.
I think it's a matter of experience, but it's also that I feel like he's pretty calm as a quarterback in general, and I think that it's always important to have, like, in this kind of a division, like, where sometimes you don't really know, sometimes you really don't know, like, what your competition is. Like, you go week to week, and especially in this division, you might not be like super sure, like, what kind of players you're going up against. Like, we play in Division B. There's a lot of familiar faces, but in Division E, it's not so much. And I feel like it's really important to have an experienced quarterback in his kind of situation, like a quarterback of his kind of caliber, where he's been there and done that. I don't know. I feel like in this league, in Division E, more than any other division, experience is such a huge factor.
That being said, it is Terrence Dobson's first season at quarterback, but
At
just
quarterback,
in general,
yes.
his experience playing for a winning team like the Game Changers. In this game, Ricky Dieudonné had his best game of the season, 3 catches, 54 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Was it a good matchup, or is he truly a rising star?
I love the name, by the way, Dieudonné.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to be in the running for best name, in the division, which we'll give out our midseason awards later.
We will.
We'll talk about Ricky Dieudonné there. But
God-given.
Was it? So do you think that's what it is? Do you think we'll be looking at him as a future star in FPF, or is this just a great matchup for him?
Well, I think when you have a guy like in this situation, you have like on the offensive end of the ball, like you have a guy like Dylan Daoust, you have a guy like Anton Sakis. Like I feel like there's a chance for him to shine because because he's not the only weapon. And I think that's super effective because as a defensive player, I would always shift my defense towards the guy that I know, the guy that I see as the threat. But that can always create issues, especially when you have like multiple facets on an offense that work. So that's why I feel like, yeah, you're right in a sense that he could be a great upcoming receiver. However, I mean, how would he play if he wasn't an offense that didn't have this many, stars?
Just a food for thought here. They have 7 receivers that have caught 2 TDs or more for that entire roster. Remarkable to see the depth have that much of an impact this year.
I'm glad you bring that up, Mo, because in this game, we actually saw the Blood Machines throw 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. And I was going to say, can they be perhaps the deepest receiving roster, more so, let's say?
Look at the roster, right? Patrice Lindor plays Div B with the commission. Yannick Dotson, we all know him very well. He's been in this league for quite a while. JC Ferland has been in this league for quite a while. These guys have experience playing FPF. They should be a lot more dominant.
Charles Fontaine.
Yeah, exactly.
Charles Fontaine is like great players.
And they fit the cap, right?
Yeah, they do.
Good.
Honestly, what's interesting, and Simon,
that's really good GM work. Really good GM
Simon
work.
Dagenet and I talked about this last week, saying that the Blood Machines are basically the same roster as Les Aigles, but in a different sort of arrangement. But the Blood Machines are a better team in the lower division than Les Aigles are in a higher division. So just an interesting.
So confused.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll get unconfused because you're going to talk about some of the midseason award winners. We'll do that when we come back from break.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for CEGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
We are back. We are here in Sportira Cage, and we're going to discuss the mid-season award winners. But before I do that, I'll reset and remind everyone that you were watching the Super Flag Bros, the official Division E podcast and the FPF Podcast Network. I am joined at my right by Dees Delaries, our technical director, the Eagle of Master Control.
Wearing a red shirt.
Do we have an unofficial Division E podcast?
There might be a rogue podcast. I can see Paul Santash and Jonah Cohen just talking smack on the
Maybe
podcast.
Sean Collins is on that one too. Or
Eagle looks like a tango dancer.
He does, and those observations, of course, coming from our producer, Mocon, of course, can be followed at Mocon19.
The red shirt.
The red shirt, there he is.
Not
there
bad.
it is.
Not bad.
This awkward moment, of course, brought to you by
Is that
Sportira, where if it's in the game, it's in the cage. So let's take a look at some of the mid-season awards. For those of you who don't know, there is an all-star game in FPF for each division. There is also end-of-season awards. So we're sort of going to give a preview to that. Here's something to note. If you play in a higher division, you are not eligible to win an award if you play the same position. So if you play a quarterback in a higher division, a receiver in a lower division, or vice versa, then you are eligible. But let's take a look. Quarterback of the year, the 3 that I've targeted are Jonah Cohen of Smash Brothers,
Who doesn't qualify?
who does qualify because he does not throw in a higher division.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jesse Racine from No Name.
Right.
And Etienne Gilliman from FOTC, who I think is an interesting pick because he does have 5 rushing touchdowns. Etienne
He
Gilliman,
does, yeah, he does.
I believe, made an All-Star game with having the added touchdowns once as
Right.
part of his touchdown total.
So that would be your selection.
No, I'm just saying it's an interesting
Okay,
pick.
interesting pick. For me personally, first of all, Eagle, how many listeners do we have? Okay, while he figures that out, I'm going to say for myself,
2 right now.
Nice.
Hi, Brent
2?
Calendar.
Oh God! And the other one's Rob Campana. So
Or
we have
Jonah
no
Cohen.
listeners. No listeners. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Sebastien Tardif, and I'll explain. Like he is a rookie quarterback, and I feel like he's in a situation, definitely very good team. I don't want to take that away from him, but I feel like it's an excellent season for this kind of a player. Like. Coming in, the other guys that he's going up against, the other guys that are on the leaderboard, Jonah Cohen, Jesse Racine, Jordan Belmer, these are all guys that have played in the league. I'm talking about this is like pretty much a freshman, I think. No?
Yeah, but I would say Jonah Cohen is a rookie quarterback, and he has far more impressive numbers.
Totally,
I think Tardif just has thrown too many interceptions.
Of course.
So I give it to Cohen. Myself, you give it to Tardif.
Yeah.
I give it to Conan. Watched him firsthand. Fantastic how he is. He's very calm in the pocket. He buys himself time when he rolls out, but he's just very calm out there. And it's shown with Anton Sarkis being his quarterback in a higher division. Yeah, he's learned from him and he's grown from that.
And I totally understand it. And for sure, I would choose him. But I also want to give due to players that haven't played in the league before. I feel like they deserve a shout out.
For sure. Receiver of the year. This is an interesting grouping because it's a lot closer than one would think. We have leading the pack, Paul the Mustache Santash, hashtag pornostash, Vincent Bastrash from
Bastrash.
Smash Bros.
Who is actually a basketball player, by the way.
Yeah.
Played for Vanier, yeah.
Who is
from
at
Vanier, you said?
Vanier,
at Paso?
So shout out. No, Vincent Bastrash from Smash Bros.
Okay.
His sister's a really good basketball player from McGill.
She
I
attractive?
think it's the second time he mentions this. By the way,
I think MK's got a little
it's
crush.
I think it's a little mo crush.
What do you got on sisters of players in FPF, man? It's not
He's
Well,
just
I
got something
broadcasted
for
a game when she played for the Martlets last year, so I asked him the question,
Cool.
do you play basketball? Does your sister play
we
basketball?
will
He
hook you up,
answered
Mo.
yes and yes.
You asked, and we will.
Hashtag sisters of FPF.
If you have a sister, tell her to tweet Mokan at Mokan19.
So, and of course, Phil Mercier from Been There, Done That, rounding out.
Yes.
I think top 3.
Yes.
What's your pick for receiver of the year?
I think once again going back to my theme of choosing players that are kind of new to the league in a sense. I'm going to go with Vincent Bastrash. I feel like an up and coming star in the league. Definitely, this is not the limit for him. I don't see him playing in this division for long. And if no one picks him up next year, I will for my team that I'm making.
Well,
next
depending on
year.
what he does, he might go to the Army actually after the season, so he may not be here next season.
He may be playing for Army, however.
Yes.
I'm kind of inclined to agree, and I find what's interesting is you have 2 guys from Smash Bros. Competing for this award. That's incredibly rare. So that's to me more fuel to the fire behind Jonah Cohen's campaign for quarterback of the year.
But isn't it impressive that he's able to put up these numbers? Like that this team in general is able to put up these numbers with 2 top 5 receivers? I find it incredible.
Absolutely. There's usually not enough balls to go around.
If this was like a national vote with writers, they would cancel each other out. That's how it would work in a Heisman race or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we don't have that here because
Exactly.
Because we are civilized.
Another
Mo.
thing we
are
do better
civilized.
than
Exactly.
the NCAA.
We've actually seen that happen in higher divisions. I remember with the 6 fast guys plus Ryan, they had Anthony Garon and Justin Blanchard at the same time, basically competing for receiver of the year, and I think neither one won. Was that possible? Did that
They
happen?
cancel each other out, like in the Heisman. For defensive player of the year, I've singled out Maxime Fournier. I've been there, done that. John Papadimitriou of Redmond, and Carl Doyon of Jean-Guy, as well as Simon Laporte from Jean-Guy. Simon Laporte being the rusher of Jean-Guy, putting up really impressive numbers as he tends to do. Deez, what's your pick?
I can't select any player from Jean-Guy, and this is only because I feel like that those players, while their defensive campaigns have been really good, haven't equaled out into success for their team. I feel like when I'm looking at a defensive player, I'm looking for someone who really affects the team, affects their wins essentially. And
Defensive mastermind, Eagle Master Control.
He's perennial nomination, by the way, for defensive player of the year. I think
can't
he
hear.
won
Is
last
Carl-
year
is
as well.
Laporte?
Yeah, Laporte.
Laporte is a perennial nominee. Eagle points
what
out.
is perennial?
Carl
mean? I don't know what
Dion
that means.
Means for every year. Perennial.
every year he's been involved. Carl Doyon has actually won it last winter season this past year.
But,
So
but that being said, like I feel like a defensive player, for me, if I'm making that nomination, because defense, it's not a very defensive league. I feel like if you're going to win an award, you have to be on a winning team or in a team that's very successful.
Yeah.
So for me, it's got to be Maxime Fournier. Like I feel like the guy has the numbers. While not so many tackles, and tackles is kind of a diluted stat, doesn't necessarily
Plus, Mo
represent-
Cotton misses many while he scores.
No, but it's not even about the misses. Like safety generally doesn't have to make that many
Yeah.
tackles, but I just feel like having 7 interceptions at this point in the season, that's basically an interception a game and
Yeah.
plus. And I feel like they're really good. And
I think there's an interesting campaign also for John Papadimitriou, who's also putting up very impressive numbers. And I think with his experience, I think he'll make some plays late in the season as well. Two-way player of the year. I've only really noted.
oh, another thing. Sorry, well, I don't want to cut you off.
It's
too much,
almost like you are cutting
Yeah,
me off.
I am
so
cutting you off.
It is like you
Thank
want to
you.
cut
But
me off.
I find it impressive that John Papadimitriou is able to put up these numbers and play quarterback at the same time.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I like, if anything, he should get the vote.
He's a
My vote
Marco
has been changed.
Mastriota.
But I don't think he's playing well enough to win the two-way player of the year. But I will say the following two: Jonathan Garfinkel of the Falcons is putting up very impressive numbers on both sides of the ball, and as is a guy who not a lot of people know just yet, but he's playing. He's also playing Division B. As I'm saying this, I realize he was just picked up by Raiders of Division B. But Chris Fields is perhaps the most dominant defensive player and putting up some great offensive numbers as well. Unfortunately, Chris, I just realized as I'm saying this that Jonathan Garfinkel will probably win the award because you're not
he
eligible.
just got picked up, right? He just
He's
got
been
picked
with
played
the
3 games.
Raiders.
He's gonna
Yeah.
be playoff
Oh,
eligible.
never
Yeah,
mind,
he'd be
you're
playoff
wrong.
eligible, Absolutely.
You lost. You lost.
I did lost. So some quick awards. Most likely to bring no food or beer to a potluck barbecue.
in general?
Division E. Pick a player.
I'm gonna go with a random name. I'm gonna go with
It's got to be Sean Collins. There's only one guy.
John Simons.
Daniel Lazara.
Yeah.
He's gonna hate me forever. You don't bring enough beer or wings to the games.
Seriously, honestly, you guys, you three, never invited over again.
Yeah.
Most next guard to be hired for Netflix's Orange is the New Black.
I'm gonna go with Justin Santillo.
Okay.
I have no idea why, but I also have no idea what this question means because I don't watch that show.
Well, a prison guard.
A prison
Next
guard.
to be hired in a women's prison as a prison guard. Happy? That's
John
not good for
Simons.
you. John Simons once again. But we know that he will not use his salary on buying anything for the barbecue. I gotta say it's Sergio Sicoli, obviously. There's only
Totally.
one guy.
He does look like a prison guard.
Yeah,
and he's
100%.
not listening. Also, he should be listening.
So he will listen later. Which Division E player looks best in a tuxedo? After I saw Mo Khan's attire this weekend, I got me thinking which Division E player would look good.
I'm gonna say Danny Demore because Danny Demore's got a very relaxed demeanor, and I feel like when the more relaxed you are, the better you look in a tux.
I saw Rob White firsthand, so I gotta say Rob White.
All right.
Dan Lazaro.
Dan Lazara.
Yeah, I seen him
Selected
in a
for
suit.
2 awards.
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad.
Best name? Are
Only
we
one
go-
was flattering.
Are we up to that now?
Yeah, let's go. Best name of
Yeah,
player.
Dieudonné. Dieudonné. Whatever his first name
Yeah,
was.
Dieudonné.
Frank?
Ricky
Ricky.
Dieudonné. He's God-given indeed. Final thoughts, Mokan.
Well, no one can add a player who will be playoff eligible from this point onwards. So stick with what you have, and let's roll with the dice.
DZ, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. If you're going to a soccer game and your team is not the United States, don't wear a United States jersey. You're a big loser.
Fair, that's fair.
And also, I hate the NBA because they're always scheduling things at the same time as their podcast, like the NBA draft.
I know, which we're missing entirely.
Terrible.
Awesome. That being said, there is no draft for FPF, but for low-ranking teams, remember there's still time to turn your team around. You can't make any new additions, as Mokan said, so right out the way, try and find out the best way to use the talent that you have. Remember that it's a short season, it goes by quickly, so if you're not having the success that you thought you would, enjoy it, enjoy the time that you have with your buds, and remember, rebuild for next season, come back stronger. But look at what you did well, look at what you did poorly, really evaluate yourself, and come back ready.
Go to church.
Go to church if you're in fact scared. Diaz Del Reese, thank you for joining me.
You're so welcome.
Eagle and Master Control, thank you for technically directing this podcast. Mo Khan, thank you for all the wonderful production work. And remember, everyone, bye.